please stand for pledge allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, this meeting has been duly advertised in Asbury Press, issue of June 7, 2012, and June 11, 2012. All municipal clerks of the townships and boroughs within the regional high school district have been duly notified, and requirements of posting of notices have been met. Okay, minutes approved. Okay, that brings us to superintendent.
Okay, we're going to open the meeting with the recognition component of that evening. So to begin tonight, I would like to call the principal of Powell High School, Mrs. Zena Durbig, to the podium.
Now you can hear me. There's a little trick. There are times in an educator's life when you do a lot for children and you don't know if you're getting through. Did they really get this? And it's just inherent in our profession that you never know whose life you're going to touch. But you keep doing it because you just absolutely love teaching. It's the greatest joy in the world. Well, the beginning of this year, many contests come across the principal's desk, and you kind of send it out to your staff, and perhaps someone is going to take advantage of the contest. Well, as luck would have it, one of my Spanish teachers decided, I'm going to give this out to the students. If someone wants to do it, that would be wonderful. Well, someone did want to do it. Her name is Abigail Thompson, and she submitted an essay to Barnes & Noble's Teacher of the Year contest. And her selection won on the local level. That was very nice. Then we get a phone call. We've entered it on the regional level, and your teacher won. It's even better. We had a party, it was great, we had a lot of fun. Then another phone call. He won National Barnes & Noble Teacher of the Year. So, I think it's kind of worth listening to Abigail's words. She wrote, "Nothing about my favorite high school teacher is typical. A quick peek in his office is all the evidence you need. Adorned with suns, a guitar, a trickling waterfall, and small treasures from around the world, it is a little refuge from the chaotic hallways and classrooms of a high school. It is always calm and welcoming in the corner office of Mr. Stanley Kova. Mr. Kova wears several hats at Howell High School. He is director of the Scholar Center for the Humanities, a learning academy I am honored to be part of, a U.S. history teacher for the sophomore students of the program, and incredibly, he also supervises the music and history departments of the school. It is rare that you see him without a smile on his face and literally a bounce in his step. He exudes a passion for music and history, appreciation for his students, and adoration of his job. Not only do we respect him, but he respects us as young adults. Last year, heading to period 6 was always the most exciting point in the day. As Mr. Kova personally greeted each of us at the door, we anticipated what was in store for the class. Whether Mr. Kova played his guitar for a student's birthday, as we all enthusiastically sang along, delivered a riveting speech, dressed as Jonathan Edwards when discussing the first great awakening, or simply led an engaging Socratic discussion. The meaningful 45-minute period was always well spent. Mr. Koba still stops in daily to see my classmates and me, cheerfully brightening our day with his signature line, "It's great to see you all. The sun always shines." He continues to positively influence us as he reminds us to remain enthusiastic about our education and bright futures. William Ward once wrote, "The mediocre teacher tells, the great teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires." Mr. Koba is the quintessential great teacher. He inspires all of his students to not only discover more about the world, but also about themselves. I emerged from my sophomore year with a wealth of knowledge about American history and also with life lessons that I will never forget. Mr. Koba's dedication to every one of his students greatly contributes to my sincere appreciation of him. Never have I had an instructor who wanted their students to succeed and achieve their goals in life more than Mr. Koba. Never before have I been encouraged or driven to reach my full potential as I was last year. Mr. Koba has forever impacted my life. When I reflect on my high school experience, what many people call the best 4 years of your life, he will always come to mind as my favorite teacher. What a terrific homage to an absolutely wonderful man. I know that he had to go to his son's award ceremony. I don't believe he's in the audience. Is he? Oh, he's surprised. He's in the back. This is typical Stan. Come forward, please.
One point of reference, there were 14,000 entries in that National Teacher of the Year competition, so I think that should also be I think Abby Thompson's future is very bright. I'd now like to call Mr. Boylan, principal of Marlboro High School, up to the podium.
Stan, congratulations, buddy. That's just wonderful. Before we acknowledge our student from Marlboro High School, obviously we have a large crowd here tonight, and obviously we have a lot of great things going on in our district. So congratulations to all of you sitting in the audience. And at this time, I'd like to have Mr. Ryden.
Good afternoon, good evening. I'd like to bring up Jessica Wu. Jessica is a junior at Marlboro High School, and she is a flutist. She also has won the Music Teacher National Association Senior Woodwind Competition. She was first place in the state of New Jersey. She then went on, and we did not get a phone call, but she did win the Eastern Division winner, and she was third place national, all for the Senior Woodwind Competition. Congratulations. That's what we have for Marlboro. Have a great night. Congratulations, Dave.
I'd like to call Mrs. Durbig back to the podium. short respite.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to bring up my boys golf coach, Mr. Hogan.
The first player I'd like to honor tonight is actually a female who's played for 4 years on a boys team. She has not only been a girl on a boys team, but she's been a starter for all 4 years, earning 4 varsity letters. While on this team, we have won 4 A North titles and an overall Shore Conference title. We've been second in our group in the state twice. And I want to recognize her tonight for she's been named to the All-Shore Asbury Park Press first team for 3 straight years, and it's Rebecca Gaona. Next, I'd like to honor a young man who, he just reminded me, he's 14 years old. He has won, before he came to high school, he's been Monmouth County Junior Champion. He's won many tournaments. I just kind of went blank on that. But anyway, coming in, I knew we had a very good player. But at 14, and as a freshman, I didn't know how good he would be. Well, he came in and broke many of our school records, mostly held by a player who is now playing at Monmouth University and was all-state when he made a lot of these records. But then he came in, broke these records, and it led us to another A North title. And he then went on to become the Central South Jersey Group 4 state champion as an individual, shooting a 72. And this young man who's going to, I can't wait for the next 3 years, and he's going to make Cal High School very proud, is Dawson Jones.
Good evening. My name is John Hine. I coach the track and field cross-country teams at Howell High School. I've got 2 separate awards to give out tonight. And first, just make a comment. You know, as teachers and coaches, whenever we can find an opportunity to give a life lesson, we try to really grab onto it. And this year, as a coach, I was presented with the opportunity to really do some great community service with my teams. And I presented the idea to my teams. Coach Gagliano, the boys wrestling coach at the high school, had mentioned he had been working with the homeless down in Tent City over the course of the summer, and he asked if we'd be interested as a track team to get involved as well. I gave the opportunity to the kids, and they wholeheartedly ran with it. Most Sundays, you can find these 2 young men down in Tent City, bringing food to the 85 homeless people living down there. We did a coat drive, raising over 700 individual jackets that were distributed throughout the county. We also did a series of service projects throughout Tent City, helped regrade the road. After Lakewood Township decided that people who lived there didn't deserve to have structures to live in, we actually went out, bought tents, set them up so people had places to live. These 2 young men were instrumental in all of that. And I think it was a great opportunity as a coach. You know, we live in a very wealthy area, 25th wealthiest county in the country. And to realize that homelessness is no longer simply an urban phenomenon, but really is a suburban phenomenon as well. To give our students and our athletes a chance to see, you know, both the other side of things, but also what you can do to make a difference in life, I think was a really great thing. I'd like to call Tom Mullins and Drew Kinghorn. Please come forward, guys. They received the New Jersey Jefferson Youth Service Award, one of 20 awards given by the state of New Jersey this year for their efforts on behalf of the homeless and the indigent, less fortunate in Lakewood. So I'd like to congratulate them for that work. And they've told me they'll be coming back on Sundays from college over the course of next year to help out. So congratulations, guys. Thanks a lot. We're also going to present an award to Kendall Hand. Kendall Hand was our state champion this year, Central Jersey Group 4 state champion in the 400 hurdles. Kendall, please come forward. Kendall's an outstanding senior, captain of 2 of our teams this year. Her family name is synonymous with Howell track and field over the last 10 years. She's a third of her sisters who receive a scholarship to college. She'll be attending Monmouth University in the fall. Congratulations, Kendall.
I'd now like to call up Manalapan High School.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to just take a second to thank the board once again for allowing us to have this evening. It's a really wonderful time to honor and have some recognition for all of the hard work that our students and athletes put forth during the year. So thank you very much for allowing us to honor them. Tonight we have a number of different students and athletes receiving awards. I'd like to start with a group of young men and women who have achieved the highest honor in their particular activity, and that's in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. The following young men have earned their Eagle Scout Award, which is the highest rank in scouting. It is a tremendous accomplishment that requires an extreme amount of responsibility, character, accountability, and for young men and women in high school, that can be very difficult to juggle. So it's really an incredible accomplishment that will carry them a very long way. To the young men and women, this will open doors for you, and I'm very proud of all of you. As I call your names, please come up and receive an award. Dennis Stack, Andrew Hu, Kenneth Kivola, Tara Lansky, Joseph Arroyo, Mark Lincoln, Matthew Mazzota, Dan Mahone, Sam Silverstein, and we have one young lady receiving the Girl Scouts Gold Award, Samantha Arroyo. Next, I'd like to call up Ms. Powers. She's going to talk a little bit about the National Merit Scholarship Awards and some of the chemistry honors that we've received this year.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Rickey. Let me begin by congratulating all the honorees here this evening. Your accomplishments are highly commendable, and we are fortunate we are afforded this opportunity to recognize such tremendous feats by the wonderful students in our district. My name is Janelle Powers, and I'm a teacher in the Science and Engineering Learning Center at Manalapan High School. It is my distinct honor to recognize the following science and engineering students for some exciting and remarkable achievements. First, I would like to bring forward Alana Porter. If you have been here before, this is my third award ceremony this year, you will recognize Alana for being honored during the winter ceremony for being selected as the only young woman in New Jersey awarded the Seaman Scholarship for taking the most AP exams and earning the most 5s on those AP exams. Tonight, Alana is being recognized for being a 2012 National Merit Finalist. Out of over 50,000 semifinalists, she was one of the 2 Manalapan High School students chosen to be among the top 16,000 finalists throughout the country. All finalists were chosen on the basis of their scholastic and extracurricular accomplishments, abilities, and potential for future academic success. Congratulations on being selected as a National Merit Scholarship finalist. Alana will be continuing her studies this fall at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. At this time, I would like to bring forward Griffin Broadman. Griffin has been involved in many activities at MHS. Most notably, he is the president of our chapter for the Junior Statesmen of America, known as JSA. He's also involved in Challenger Sports here in Freehold Township, which is something that's near and dear to my heart, working with children with disabilities. As I mentioned previously, MHS has had 2 National Merit Scholarship finalists, but there's a little twist here. The National Merit Scholarship is presented to the top 1% of high school students throughout the country based on their academic performance and standardized tests. I'm extremely proud and honored to announce that the young man that you see standing here is one of 8,400 high school seniors throughout the United States to receive the $2,500 scholarship for the National Merit Scholarship Fund. Congratulations, Griffin Broadman, for being a National Merit Scholarship winner. And Griffin will be continuing his studies at Cornell University this fall. Next, I'm going to honor a sophomore in the Science and Engineering program, Mr. Kenneth Liu. Kenneth, could you please come down? Kenneth ranked first in the state and in the county for chemistry in the 62nd annual Merck State Science Day program. Kenneth is a Merck Scholar. The Merck Science Day program provides for competition between individuals and among teams of secondary school students in the subjects of biology, chemistry, earth science, physics, and environmental science. The top 4 students in the state in biology, chemistry, physics, integrated science, and advanced integrated sciences receive a commemorative gift and an honor cord. These students, known as Merck Scholars, were honored with their coach and parents at a special ceremony held last Thursday at the Merck Company in Rahway, New Jersey. Kenneth attended the special ceremony with his parents and his coach, Mrs. Bharti Srinivas. The annual Merck State Science Day is a very prestigious science competition. It is an honor just this competition. Securing first place both in the state and the county as a sophomore is a phenomenal accomplishment. It requires immense focus, concentration, excellence, and thoroughness of preparation to get to the top in a competition like the Merck State Science Day. Kenneth has proved that he can rise up to any level. And it's very important to us in the Science and Engineering program to have a Merck Scholar. It doesn't come very often, and to be first in the state and in the county for this prestigious exam is just quite an accomplishment. So congratulations, Kenneth. We're going to make Kenneth stay because he's part of this next group. All schools in the district compete in a competition called the New Jersey State Science League. It is a competition of biology students, chemistry students, and physics students. The competition is held January through April. There are 4 tests, and we compete against other students in the state. Our chemistry team, which is made up of science and engineering sophomores, compete against students typically who are seniors who are taking AP chemistry. Our team, consisting of Kenneth Liu, Asavari Fonsa, Brandon Perumpal, Christopher Colin, and Harry Goldstein, which I all asked to come down here, earned 6th in the state. Kenneth performed very well in the Science League. He placed among the top 10% of all competing students, and he's ranked 6th in the state. And Sabri placed 18th in the state in the MERC test and got in the top 10% of all competing students in the New Jersey State Science League as well. So we're extremely proud of them. I'm very fortunate to come up here and boast about our program, and we thank Mrs. Sharp and Mr. Angelosi for their support of the science and engineering program. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Ms. Powers. Ms. Powers is just one member of the wonderful science and engineering staff that we have from Alton High School. Their efforts are tireless, and obviously from the results, they're doing a wonderful job there. They deserve a real round of applause. Thank you. The next group I'd like to recognize is our competition cheer team. This year the young ladies went down to Myrtle Beach during spring recess to compete in the Spirit Sport National Competition. I'm very proud to announce that they took first place in their particular category, and they also honored the Grand Champion Award for that particular competition. They're a wonderful group of young ladies, very spirited. What they do behind the scenes for the school will never really be seen. They're constantly volunteering. They're constantly getting other kids involved, and they're just a wonderful group of young ladies to work with. So as I call them up, I appreciate you guys come up and receive your award. Coach Lisa Rizzo-Troxel, Alicia Minerva, cheerleaders Jasmine Martinez, Gabrielle Sarcone, Alyssa Tower, Dana Kaminsky, Amanda Morin, Chelsea Roth, Michelle Rubino, Michelle Vovic, Amy Bastista, Skylar Kagan, Michelle Loretta, Amy Sidorsky, Kristen Canario, Jordan Clark, Gina Gambarella, and Nicole DeMaitia. The next group I'd like to talk about is our softball program. They received an award, a unique award to the Shore Conference called the Shore Umpires Association Sportsmanship Award this year. I received a phone call last week letting me know that Coach Hoffman and his team will be receiving this award. It's an incredible award that really shows the dedication and sportsmanship that he instills in his players, the character and integrity of his team. To say they're a good team is an understatement. They've really played outside of themselves this year, making it all the way to the quarterfinals of the Shore Conference tournament as a number 18 seed, which is a phenomenal accomplishment. What they do off the field is even more incredible. They participate in fundraisers for their school and their community. They participate in fundraisers for cancer awareness. They hosted a second annual Getting a Leg Up on Cancer Classic up in Alton. So what the girls and the staff do is really a phenomenal job for the community. Unfortunately, Coach Hoffman couldn't be here to accept the award. He's accepting the award right now in Manasquan. Representing the team tonight is assistant coach Lisa DeLeo, and the leaders on the team, Megan G., Caitlin G., Lauren Schwartz, Jamie Denza, Olivia Carbone, and Alex Wendelowski. You girls And last but certainly not least, I'd like to talk for just a minute about our baseball program. When I submitted the paperwork for this, we were submitting paperwork to receive district awards for the Group 4 Central Jersey Sectional State Championship. And I'm sure, as everyone's already heard, and I'm extremely proud to announce, we are back-to-back Group 4 state championship winners. I really can't say enough about the program that Coach Boyce runs with his staff and his players. To win back-to-back group championships is an absolutely unbelievable thing. It's happened 3 times in short conference history and 5 times in Group 4 state history. So to be a back-to-back winner in a group championship is just incredible. And I can't say and express how proud I am of the coaching staff and the way they coach and the way they carry themselves and the way the kids play. It's just it's unbelievable. It's not how they won this championship on the field that's impressive. It's how they carry themselves off the field, in the classroom, in the community, is what's really impressive. So I'd like to call up unprinted and unannounced Asbury Park Press Coach of the Year, Brian Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Rickey. I'd first like to thank the administration for having the confidence in our team and our program. I'd like to thank the Board of Education, Mr. Sampson. I do want to talk a little bit about our team and the kids and the road we took to win this state championship. I like to say we didn't necessarily play up to capabilities all year long, but the kids continue to work hard and believe in themselves. And as the state tournament continued, we faced some adversity. We had to face the number 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5th ranked team in the state. And it's a credit and tribute to our players that they were able to accomplish such a monumental feat. I'd like to thank my coaches for their tireless efforts and hard work and commitment and positive attitude throughout the course of the year. And most importantly, I'd like to thank my wife, Lisa, for being my rock and the constant throughout a challenge. At this time, I'd like to call up my assistant coaches, Brad Gardner, Dan Angelo, JP Naval, Sean Manning, Billy Smith, and Corey DeCastro, and John O'Bannister. And I'd like to call up the team: Mike Knopf, Greg Yip, Chris Capaldo, Pat Monahan, Joe Serapica, Billy Moet, Brian Lamboy, Matt Hawk, John Strauss, James Hallisey, Dennis Gerolamo, Luke Becker, Louis Morata, Matt Simonetti, Brian Ranieri, Dan Russo, Vito Gadaletta, Anthony Natal, Alex Wolf, and Tyler Feingold.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the time, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
I'd like to call up representatives from Freehold Township High School.
again, I'd like to congratulate everyone. It's a wonderful night to be able to host this event, and I do have to have a shout out because my nephew is on the Finalist team, so congratulations to Luke out there and all the players and all the teams out there. It was a great run. A lot of the baseball teams had a great run at the end of the season, and baseball being my favorite sport, it was really exciting to see a lot of these exciting games. We also have a lot of successes at Township. This spring, some of them are still out there. Our track team is there today competing because they kept postponing the track finals, and that's today, so we don't know how our athletes are doing. Hopefully we'll find out soon. They should be returning. But in the meantime, Mr. McAvoy will do the rest of our awards.
All right, thank you everybody, and congratulations to everyone being recognized tonight. And just to dovetail off the baseball team for a second, our baseball team who is doing, they're involved in some summer league, and our coaches are involved in doing some summer league stuff, so they're not able to be here tonight. They were the Monmouth County Tournament champions. And just a little side note about that, we had a baseball captain, Dan Bunkowitz, that passed away in a car accident about 2 years ago. He was number 6. And his parents came to pretty much every game this season. And basically, when we won the game, we won 6-3 in the bottom, in the 6th inning. So we like to say that number 6, we scored 6 in the 6th inning. So we like to think that number 6 is looming large. And we remember Dan, and we want to congratulate our baseball team as well. All right, I wanted to thank Ms. Powers for giving the introduction for our first 2 awards. The first is we also have a National Merit Scholar finalist. She is ranked 6th in the class, 6 again, out of 542, with a 4.89 GPA. She is one of our CGI students, our Contemporary Global Issue students. She's involved in JSA, Forensics, Open Door, DECA. She's a part of the Monmouth County Chinese American Organization. And she is our National Merit Scholar, but she also is an AP Scholar with distinction, as she earned a perfect 5 in 3 AP exams: English Language and Composition, Comparative Government Politics, and U.S. History. So please welcome Jennifer Long to receive her award. And Jennifer will be attending Harvard University this fall. All right, Ms. Powers also talked about the Science League. Freehold Township was involved in the Science League as well. One of our students was the only student from New Jersey who received a perfect score in the Science League test given in May. So like I said, he's the only student in New Jersey to receive a perfect score, and his name is Casey Moore, so please welcome Casey to receive his award. Casey will be attending Wharton in the fall.
Casey's multi-talented. He also led our team for the 4th consecutive year. We made the finals in the Consumer Bowl. This year, Casey wasn't able to make the finals due to another commitment, and we took 2nd. And I know we would have won, but Casey led us there for 4 years, so congratulations on that also.
All right, Freehold Township is unique because we have our Animal and Botanical Science Academy, and one of our teachers, Mr. Brian Ducey, was awarded the Outstanding Young Member Award from the National Association of Agriculture Educators. So please welcome Mr. Ducey, who's going to talk about some of our FFA accomplishments.
Thank you, Mr. McAvoy. Thank you, board members and Freehold Township community members. It's my honor to stand before you and my privilege to present some medals to some students from our Animal and Botanical Learning Academy. Our program tries to aim and provide opportunities for personal development, career exploration, and civic-minded individuals. 2 of the people that I'm going to introduce to you this evening epitomize that very clearly. One young lady, she's found at both ends of our school, the far end where our greenhouse is, and down here close to our band room. Those are the places she's most likely to be found. She's our FFA president, and she's honored this year through the FFA as Treasurer of the Year, and she also plays third in job interview. Christiane Dowd. And the next member that I was going to present to you is younger. She's a freshman in our academy, and she, very bright young lady. She's honored this evening for her public speaking abilities, but something I'd like to reiterate is she's just one of the kindest people I know. If you're over here, she's congratulated every award member that's walked by. I'd like to present to you Emily Carr. So Emily is honored for public speaking, and if nobody minds, I'd like to ask her to recite the creed for you. She can do it with the microphone or without.
Okay, I fix that a little bit. I'm a little shorter. This is the Ffa Creed by E.M. Tiffany. I believe in the future of agriculture, with a faith born not of words, but of deeds. Achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturists in the promise of better days through better ways, even as the better things we now enjoy have come to us from the struggles of former years. I believe that to live and work on a good farm or to be engaged in other agricultural pursuits is pleasant as well as challenging, for I know the joys and discomforts of agricultural life and hold an inborn fondness for those associations which, even in hours of discouragement, I cannot deny. I believe in leadership from ourselves and respect from others. I believe in my own ability to work efficiently and think clearly with such knowledge and skill as I can secure, and in the ability of progressive agriculturists to serve our own and the public interest in producing and marketing the product of our toil. I believe in less dependence on begging and more power in bargaining, in the life abundant and enough honest wealth to help make it so, for others as well as myself. In less need for charity and more of it when needed. In being happy myself and playing square with those whose happiness depends upon me. I believe that American agriculture can and will hold true to the best traditions of our national life, and that I can exert an influence in my home and community which will stand solid for my part in that inspiring task. Thank you.
You can see why she won the public speaking award. She puts my public speaking skills to shame. That's very good. We also had a coach who could not be here tonight that was recognized as Coach of the Year, and that's Mr. Gene Blanco for golf. So a round of applause for Mr. Blanco. Thank you very much. That is it for... Oh, yes, Mr. Ducey. We do have that award for you, because like I said before, Mr. Ducey was awarded the, and that's a mouthful, the Outstanding Young Member Award from the National Association of Agricultural Educators. And Mr. Ducey, this is his first year with us, and he's done a great job, so thank you very much.
I'll call representatives from Freehold High School.
Well, good evening, everyone. I just want to start off by saying congratulations again to all the medal recipients. This is always a nice opportunity as a district. 3 times a year we get together to recognize and highlight some of the achievements of not only our students but our staff as well. So congratulations to all of you. For the borough this evening, to start off, no strangers to district medal ceremonies, that's for sure. Our music department. We have several students being recognized for all student orchestra pit through the Count Basie Awards. And we also have one student who is being recognized as All-State Women's Chorus. And of course, on her way up here already, none other than the very devoted, passionate, our music director, Mrs. Pamela Massimini.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bowman. This evening I have two awards, basically. One for first, I'd like to call up Julianne Scott. She is a junior at Freehold High School in the culinary department, but she has achieved the notoriety of receiving or obtaining 3 times at the All-State level, the All-State Women's Chorus. 2 years in the All-State Mixed Chorus and 1 year in the All-State Women's Chorus. And you only can make it 3 times. You start your freshman year and it's for the following year. And Julianne made it all 3 years. It's difficult to make it 1 year, but to make it all 3 years is a wonderful achievement. So congratulations. Our next award is to honor our all-student orchestra pit from the musical Little Shop of Horrors this past year. Count Basie Theater 7 years ago decided to honor high school theater every year by having groups basically decide to participate in this program and then be honored through various awards throughout the seasons, through the dramas and through the musicals. Freehold High School has been nominated 6 out of the 7 years for their all-student orchestra pits, and out of those 6 years we have received 4 awards as different students in the orchestra pit, but every year it's the same dedication and hardworking achievement that these students have received. It's hard enough to play Broadway shows and to teach it to high school students, but to have instrumentalists as well step it up and play some of the most difficult music that they'll ever have even looked at, even in the band room, orchestra room, or even the piano, is a wonderful, wonderful achievement. So these students this year are the 4th time winners. Some of them have won 3 awards with me. Yes, some of them have won 3 awards with me in the various orchestra pits. So we have one student who is receiving an honor cord ceremony, so we'll accept his award. That's Dylan Nguyen, who was on the piano this year. Our other piano player, Constance Caeta, come on up too. She'll be going to Peabody Conservatory next year for as a piano major. So it's wonderful having her this year. Our percussionist, freshman Aaron Valenti, and junior Dan Gross. Our guitarists, Matt Mosca, senior Matt Mosca, and sophomore, Stephen Bernardo. Our bassist, senior Alan Kahn, and senior Dan Sauerman. The final member wasn't a member of the pit. He actually was the voice of the plant, but we were also honored to participate at Camden County Community College, where they had a competition for musicals, and Little Shop of Horrors took home the best musical of the night, but I couldn't attend because I was taking my graduate tests. So my senior drum major, as well as music educator of the future, Matthew Showerman, stood in my place and did a wonderful job conducting the pit that evening. So Matt. Members of the Board of Education for recognizing these wonderful students and their accomplishments.
All right, the next group we'll honor for the borough is the American Computer Science League team. Our senior 5 team this year went to the very prestigious invite-only international all-star competition out in Pennsylvania over Memorial Day weekend, and in a very close one, we edged out a team from Croatia and took the title this year. It's a very impressive all-star competition. You have teams from all over, not only all over the United States, all over Canada, areas of Europe. I will call up our advisor, Mr. Jim Gill to tell you a little bit more and to introduce his team.
Good evening. The American Computer Science League is a competition, as Mr. Weiner has said, that includes teams from the United States, mostly magnet schools, mostly science, engineering, and technology and computer science schools, and also teams from throughout the world. It is highly competitive. The team is mostly composed of, except for one person in one of the lower divisions, of Computer Science Academy students. This year, the way the contest works, we have 4 contests throughout the year that consist of a programming part and a math part. The math part is so complex as well as the computer portion of the exam. We scored 200 out of 200 possible points in this out of the 4 contests, and we were really, really happy about it. And I'd like to call up those members first, the members first that were part of that. We won the Northern Division from the yearly contest, so I'd like to call them up now. First of all, Tad Cordell and Kevin Jing, who were part of the NJIT programming contest. They won that. Tom Mazaris and David Goldman, they didn't want me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. They were in a competition last year in a lower division and scored only Tom Mazaris and David Goldman were in the competition last year at a lower level, and they only scored 7 out of 60 programming points. So we kind of joked about it all year long. They were really good programmers. This year they came back and they were part of the team that won the whole thing, and they were a very good part of it. Of course, they had perfect scores of 40 out of 44 during the season. And Andrew Fishberg and Greg Johnson, come on up, fellas. These 2 guys show you how competitive this competition is in our school. They scored 39 out of 40 points. Each math problem is about 2 or 3 pages long. And I don't know how they go through it in half an hour and not make a careless mistake. But these 2 guys did not go to the Senior 5 division in the finals because they only scored 39 out of 40 points. They missed by 1 parenthesis of going to the competition. But if not for them, the competition level would not have been so high within our school. So anyway, we won the Northern Division, and then we got invited to the finals. Only the best schools get invited to the finals. So the finals consist of a day out in Pennsylvania, Westchester East High School. We scored 58 out of 60 programming points, and we were really happy. But we know this competition is not over till it's over. We know how heavy it is, and we knew we had to score very high on what we call the short answer question part of it, which is all math problems. So we went into the competition, the second part, and I had to monitor another group, of course not our school. And I'm looking around at schools from Croatia, from China, from Romania, from Canada, and you could tell that these students were all top-notch. And I'm saying, what kind of a chance do we have? I know we're good, but this is so competitive. Then I got to the United States. I saw Kalamazoo, Michigan. On the back of this boy's shirt, it said, first place in the University of Indiana programming contest, first place in the University of Pennsylvania programming contest, first place in this, first place in that. And then I looked at New Jersey. There was High Technology High School there, ranked #1 in New Jersey by one of the polls. There was Bergen County Academies, another high-tech high school. Okay, they were ranked #2 in one of the, I think, U.S. News or Weekly polls, or I'm not sure which one. And then I saw teams from Thomas Jefferson, Science and Engineering Technology School. It's a magnet school in Virginia. They were ranked #1 in Virginia and #10 in the country. The competition was unbelievable. We scored 54 out of 60 programming points, and we knew we had a chance, but we were hopeful. We were not sure. So it comes down to the final countdown. Number 5 was 110 points, and we only had 112 out of 120. Third and fourth was 111. Okay, we got a second. And then the teacher that was with me said, we might have tied it, and we might have won on the tiebreaker. So they said, there's a tie for first and second. And I said, wow, we might have won. And lo and behold, okay, we won. Both schools from the school from Croatia, and we both scored 112 points, and we won on the tiebreaker, which Mr. Jewell, I know, wants me to point out that it was the math part of the contest, just to prove that Americans can do math too. That's all. Anyway, I've been waiting to win this contest. We've had third, fourth, sometimes seventh. but a lot of third and fourths lately. I've been waiting to win this contest for 8 years. This is so competitive. Our school's probably been waiting to win it like for 25 years when Jack Dye was here. So, this was a tremendous victory. We're very, very proud. So congratulations, fellas.
Okay, we also wanted to honor one of our spring track athletes this evening, but I think you probably heard mentioned earlier, the NJSI Meet of Champions track meet, which was originally scheduled for Thursday, got postponed to Friday, and then got postponed again until this afternoon. So an athlete by the name of Eric Kahana, he's a senior at the Borough. He was this year the short conference and state sectional 110 hurdles champion. I just wanted to mention that, and we'll have to get him the medal when we get back to school to get him his medal. And last but not least, from the Borough, our state sectional championship baseball team. Yes, Manalapan edged us out. They won that group title the other day, but listen, this is quite a story, and I'll hand it over to Coach Block in a minute here. He just walked up behind me. He's very excited. We started off the season at 4-8 after a dozen games. Much like Coach Boyce said from Manalapan, things maybe weren't clicking as well as they should have. Team wasn't performing at their highest level, but things certainly started to slowly but surely come together. We qualified for the short conference tournament. We made it to the semis of the Monmouth County tournament. And then the state sectional tournament rolled around, and we got really hot at the right time. Our two junior left-handed pitchers going into Saturday's group final game, both of their earned run averages were below a 1. We were getting timely hitting. The team defense was nearly flawless. And of course, and you got to give some credit to the coaches, they seemed to just be making all the right moves, and things were rolling along nicely. So as the number 8 seed in the state sectional tournament, we defeated the number 9. We defeated the number 1, which happens to be short conference school Wall. We went out to Hopewell, beat the number 5 team in the state sectional semis, and then we took on our divisional foe, Monmouth Regional, which was the 6th seed in the final, state sectional final, defeated them 3-0 in a great game by the boys. So that's where we earned the state sectional title. And then we went on to the Group 3 tournament. So we were one of the top, one of 4 remaining Group 3 schools in the entire state. We went on and played a school, the South winner, a school by the name of Hamilton, in the semis over at Monmouth University. If any of you read about it in the paper, it was a 13-inning marathon game. For those of you that don't know, a high school baseball game, a regulation game is 7 innings. We played almost 2 full games, 13 innings. But we came out on top of that one, 2-1. Very exciting. Got the opportunity to play over at Monmouth University. And then in the group final this past Saturday, we ran into a very good team in Cranford. They are a perennial powerhouse. They've been to that game apparently the last 3 years and won 2 of them. They had a real good junior left-handed pitcher on the mound. He threw a 2-hitter against us. And they also had this very physically imposing junior catcher who hit 2 pretty much majestic home runs. I don't say this to rub it in. I just want to give you an idea of the caliber of the competition we were dealing with. He hit 1 to right center field at Toms River South High School, landed on the roof. And then 2 innings later, he turned around and hit another one to left center that not only cleared defense, went about 30 feet up the tree line. So obviously we ran into a very good team, but we are still very proud of our team. These guys won and lost with grace, and the entire school community really got behind them and had a lot of fun with this run. So I give them a lot of credit for that. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our head coach, Mr. Block.
Mr. Weiner really didn't give me anything left to say, so I can just announce my team members. Now, first off, I'd like to thank Mr. Sampson, the Board of Education, and the Freehold High School administration for inviting us here tonight. Like Mr. Renner said, it was quite a year, but before I even started, I announced all my players. Manalpin, what a job. Unless you have coached this sport, you don't know what that man accomplished. You know, we only won the sectional. He's won the overall Group 4 2 years in a row. It's unbelievable. Congratulations. I'd like to introduce the members of our team. First, our student assistant, very important part of our program, Tyler Genke. Our sophomores, John Bostic, Zach Mulhern, Nick Piscopo, and Luke Tiefenbauer. Our juniors, Mike Bolton, Jason Lundy, Kevin Smith, and David Yanakis. And of course our seniors, Dylan Duffy, Matt Holt, Dan Cavaderas, Kyle McGilsky, Cody Riley, Travis Rudick, Anthony Vizana, and Ed Zaleski. Probably the most important part, my assistant coach. Not only was he a former player, he has come back to the Freehold Regional High School District, and he is a history teacher over at Howell High School, Matt Colson. Once again, thank you and congratulations to all the winners out there.
Now we'll call up representatives from Colts Neck High School. And as they make their way up, just to note, the Asbury Park Press has not yet released their award recognition, and the difficulty is that our next board meeting is June 25th, where folks are out of school, hence the recognition tonight, but all student athletes that do earn any of those honors will be certainly given a medal like anybody else has and will be recognized at the school.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson, and on behalf of Colts Neck, congratulations to all the winners tonight. It is indeed a special night. I'm going to start, before I turn the rest of the recognition over to Mrs. Bruno, I'm going to call up a very special young lady who is the National Merit Scholar Award winner for Colts Neck High School, Miss Olga Spazaboyska. Hope I said that. Okay, well, she is a fine young lady, earned a 4.77 GPA. So we wish her the best. Now I'll turn it over to Mrs. Bruno.
Good evening. First, I'd like to, in my error, I hadn't already honored our All Shore Band. We have 3 members who were named to the All Shore Symphonic Band for 2012. So at this time, I'd like to congratulate Miss Kristen Miner, Miss Lizzie Mirasola, and Mr. Matthew Wynn. The next individual I'd like to call up is a repeat performer, Miss Emily Mills. As Emily makes her way, she's here this evening as the short conference champion for girls golf. I have the pleasure of watching Miss Mills in the short conference tournament. I am the tournament director, so I got to drive around and watch a great day of girls golf, which was, watching Emily compete was a highlight. There were 42 golfers in the short conference tournament, because with girls golf, not everyone has girls golf, so it is something that is rare. You stay right here, Miss Emily. With those 42 golfers competing, Emily, as a sophomore, by the way, as a sophomore, has a big competition at RBC. Miss Totland has been we'll just say it's kind of like watching a horse races, who's going to come out in first either time that they compete. At the Pine Barrens Golf Course, Emily and Miss Totland were going neck and neck. It was a 2-stroke difference, a 3-stroke difference going back and forth. But Emily remained composed, and most importantly, found the inner competitor. So it was very exciting to watch. She came down to win it in the 18th hole in the last stroke. She won with 74, and Totland shot a 75. So congratulations, Emily. Next individual I'd like to introduce you to is also a repeat performer, Miss Arielle Weiner. Arielle has been a runner for Colts Neck for 4 years, and I don't think it will be a shock when I tell her, well, she wasn't a highlight when she was a freshman. She started turning it on, and using Coach Rena's description before, she got hot junior year and senior year. So she is leaving Colts Neck High School with many a title, some of which are at the state level and the short conference level, the Monmouth County, and so on. But Emily just left. This is Arielle. Arielle is actually going to be running in less than 2 weeks at the Outdoor National Track and Field Championships in the 5,000 meters. So we wish Arielle the best of luck. Arielle actually had to qualify along with some of her teammates, which I'd like to, you can wait for them over here. I'm going to introduce you to some of her teammates. So I would like Julia Petrucci, Juliana Whitman, Victoria Zamara, and Jacqueline Wool. Now, regretfully, the first one that I had announced is not here. The 4 ladies that I just announced hold the district record for the 4x200. Now, the 4x200 essentially is about half of a typical track lap, and they each take a turn running 1/4 of the entire race. They run it in 1:46. That's 1 minute and 46 seconds. Each of them has contributed to the success of the 4x2, and they'll be competing at nationals as well. They have been invited down to participate not just in the 4x2, but also in the sprint medley. Now, Freehold Township, we're going to give you a run for your money, because apparently Freehold Township currently has a district record at 1 minute and 50 seconds. Am I right? But we are going to beat that in less than 2 weeks. Colts Neck High School will be well represented. Congratulations, ladies. Nationals are held down in Greensboro, North Carolina. Joining them also is one other track athlete who regretfully is competing at the Meet of Champions, Alexandra Doyle. Yes, please give her some applause. Regretfully is not here this evening. Alexandra is actually competing, she had competed throughout the spring season in all 3 field events, shot put, disc, and jaff, as I did when I was in high school, but she's doing a little bit better than I ever did. She had advanced at the state level and is currently competing in the Meet of Champions for the discus. She's throwing that baby about 117 feet. and she'll be throwing it down in Greensboro along with these ladies. So good luck, girls. At this time, that's all for Colts Neck. Again, congratulations to everyone, and parents, you should be very proud.
We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll continue the meeting. So for those of you who have to leave, have a chance to go. We have the superintendent's report.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back. I have a number of items to address. First and foremost, by law, I am required to speak publicly about the results of an Office of Fiscal Accountability and Compliance report, inquiry that was done at the request of Mr. Sage for the district regarding tuition reimbursement and Field Regional High School District employees. I'll read, I have to report the findings, so I'll just read directly from the OFAC letter. Quote, because there was no violation of Education Statute NJSA 18A or Educational Administrative Code NJAC 6A, the OFAC has no jurisdictional basis to provide any interpretations, conclusions, or recommendations in this matter. Therefore, this matter will be closed by the OFAC. A couple other items. I've been saying at every meeting, talking about sort of the three significant educational initiatives that are underway simultaneously in the state of New Jersey, and that would be the implementation of a new teacher evaluation model, the implementation of the Common Core national standards, and ultimately a new testing system, PARC, which is supposedly will ultimately be completely computer-based. We're moving forward in making sure that we're prepared for all of those initiatives. We had a conference call last week with Kevin Baird, who is the president of the Common Core Institute, and it was, I think it was a testament to where the Freehold Regional High School District is in terms of planning and preparing for Common Core implementation. I asked him directly, do you have other districts that we can look to as models for implementation? And he talked about how complex implementation was and said that if you look at certain pieces, there's different districts around the nation that are ahead of the curve. So he pointed us to a district in California, he pointed us to a district in Iowa, he pointed us to a district in Hawaii, actually, as exemplars. But he also said, I have to go on record and say that when folks call me, particularly about the language arts implementation, I am referring them to you. And that's as sort of a national model to provide some guidance and input for other school districts around the country. So I think it's a testament to the work that we've done as a school district here to prepare for that implementation. We're also moving forward with preparing for the new teacher evaluation system. And to manage both the new teacher evaluation system and Common Core implementation simultaneously is an incredibly difficult task and involves quite a bit of planning, but we have a number of training days for the administrative team. We're honing some of the final details for this summer where the entire administrative team will be trained in the Marzano evaluation model. We've identified a core cadre of 100 teacher leaders who will go through the same training that our administrators will undertake next year, and ultimately help us provide some turnkey training for the rest of our staff. As you can imagine, it's one thing in a school district if you have 100 faculty and staff members and you need to train them. It's quite a different logistical undertaking when you have almost 1,000 teachers to make sure that everyone is trained and comfortable, and that there is continual dialogue about what's actually important in schools, teaching and learning, which which I think is the real opportunity in this implementation. So we're moving forward on all those fronts. A couple things that I also want to highlight. We've talked in previous meetings about our Advanced Placement Summer Bridge program. We initially envisioned that, and if you recall, that's a program designed to help students that may have not taken an advanced placement course previously. It's a jump start over the summer. It's a 5-day, 4-hour-a-day program that we're running in August with a core group of our advanced placement teachers. We initially thought that we pegged the slots at about 125 students. We have 268 students signed up for that Summer Bridge program. I think it's a unique program. It's not something that you'll see throughout the state of New Jersey. It's something that came out of the advanced placement diagnostic that we underwent with the College Board folks earlier this school year, and I'm quite pleased with the results to date. Also like to, one note as we recognize folks for their achievements, and I mentioned that the Asbury Park Press hasn't yet released some of their all-conference selections and all-county selections. However, I do want to say that Mr. Dave Ryden was chosen as the Jersey Shore Sporting News Athletic Director of the Year. So congratulations, Mr. Ryden. Also, it's been a while since we had a board meeting due to conference schedules and the Memorial Day weekend. A few weeks back, I had the opportunity to attend the Governor's Teacher Recognition Luncheon with the 6 Teachers of the Year from the Freehold Regional High School District. I'd just like to recognize those folks. It was Mr. Eric Yang from Marlboro, Ms. Carla Lounsbury from Howe, Mr. Joe Santacita from Colts Neck, Ms. Tony Kovac from Freehold High School, Mr. Alex Dohan from Freehold Township High School, and Ms. Susan O'Donnell from Manalapan High School. So I'd like to publicly recognize those folks. And we also had, I had the good fortune to attend the second annual Marlboro Spring Games a couple weeks back. And what that is it's a full day outdoor experience for a number of our LLD students. And I've talked a little bit about some of the other things that we do for those students, like the Cinco de Mayo dance and things of that nature. But it was a terrific experience to actually pull those folks in an outdoor setting, and the team in Marlboro did a phenomenal job of pulling that together, and really just a full day experience that, again, you sort of walk through a couple activities that are going on in that event, and it brings it all back to perspective about what's important in education. So I'd like to thank those folks for putting that event on as well. And then finally, our 6 high schools are set for graduation June 20th. I have my fingers crossed. I have my voodoo dolls for good weather. And we will, as everybody knows, our 6 high schools, the graduations occur simultaneously. So we're looking forward to that event. And the year is rapidly coming to a close. Thank you.
Okay, next we have public participation part of the program. Oh, I'm sorry. Board report.
We met on June 7th. We went over the current project status for our 4 summer programs. We have 265 students enrolled in our 8-week summer bridge program. We have 122 students enrolled in our extended school year program. We have 91 participants in the Title I student enrichment program and 40 participants so far for our fee-based competitive recovery. All these programs are going to be housed at Sportsmanship. We also did an overview of the curriculum renewal process. We went over the different subject areas that are going to be up for renewal this upcoming year, and they revamped the website so all the curriculum can be found under the curriculum webpage, except for the learning centers and academies, which are under each.
Policy? I'll be brief. The policy committee actually went electronic last week. We attempted to communicate electronically about our policy with regards to mobile devices in school. Everybody reported back with input. It's very successful, very positively received.
Mr. Sampson's in the process of compiling all the information we gave him for hopefully a first draft reading at our next meeting.
Thank you. Any other reports? Seeing now we come to public participation, I'd like to remind you that we appreciate your views and your passion, but we would respectfully ask that you refrain from attacking board members. We usually give 4 minutes to each participant. So the first up is Linda, and Linda, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Linda D. All right, Linda D. Nobody else will hear you.
This is where I go right here. Well, I introduced myself to the people I believe that may be able to help me. This is in reference to busing, and I wanted to know, my other daughter graduated last year, 2011, from Freehold Township High School, and I just want to let you all know, she got accepted to every college, so the school is excellent. But my reason for being here is about busing. She used to get picked up at the end by where I live, because our house is at the very end of the street, but currently they have a bus in the beginning of the street, which is most of the kids live. So I'm here because I'm trying to appeal to the board, to Mr. Sampson, Sean Boyce, to please keep the bus where it was last year, so my daughter, who will be attending this school in the fall, will be able to be safe and come here. I can feel comfortable. So I'm not going to take up any more time. They understand where I'm coming from, and I just want to understand, how do you pick bus stops? I would like to know that answer. And how can you pick convenience over safety is my second one. Thank you.
As the board knows, members of the community may remember a couple of years ago, we revamped our transportation routing system significantly. I'm sure the board remembers that. And we did a couple of things. The state law requires that no student walk, high school student walk more than 2.5 miles. So we're certainly going to be under that mark. We set our maximum at 5 miles, with a target of more like 0.3 miles. So that was one of the changes. The other change was that we moved bus stops to corners, the best conditions in the look at hazardous routes on individual basis. And there is some precedent for hazardous routes. A lot of that determination is made by municipal officials and police departments. And they'll look at things like volume of traffic on the road, speed limit, whether or not there are sidewalks present. I have reviewed this particular case. It's actually out there today to take a look at it myself. And this is within the parameters, it's within what's typical for our 12,000 students. So we're recommending that the bus stop will remain where it is. If the board has any further questions, I'll be available to answer them.
How far is the stop? What's that from where initially it was?
Well, that's why you had the 4 minutes. No, we don't want to, because we will be here all night long. Sorry. Okay, next up we have, is it Madison? So Madison, Zero? No. Okay, Allie Beatty? Hey, if you guys want to just stand right here, it's up to you.
I might have written my name down a little messily. My name is Melissa Leroy. I'm from Colts Neck High School, and I'd like to talk to you all about the condition of our libraries and media centers in the entire district. As you may know, our library staff was cut down from 2 all-time people at our school to 1 media center specialist half of the week.
Our media center specialist is at our school Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every other Friday. For Mondays, Wednesdays, and the other Friday of the month, she's at Borough High School. And this is creating quite a disparity in our library. It is now our biggest single resource in the building, and it's most understaffed, almost to the point of neglect. Mostly, students don't have access to the bountiful resources that we have in our libraries. We have 3 computer centers, a small reference area of computers, and a library that is fairly well staffed, if I say so myself. But unfortunately, these resources are not available to our students the majority of the time. Students are only able to use these facilities when our media specialist is there. The other days, unfortunately, our library is closed to the general public. Now, as you guys have mentioned, we're moving towards computerization. For this year, all of our college applications were online. By having our media specialist only available to our students half of the time, we are effectively removing the accessibility and reliability of our media center. Technology is irreplaceable in today's education. Students use computers for essentially every single class. And unfortunately, some students in our district do not have the resources that other people do. A personal example, this past winter, I had my family computer crash, and I had an impending deadline with a very important project due. I had to scramble and scrimp in order to get to the library for Tuesdays and Thursdays in order to complete this project. Fortunately, my teacher was forgiving, and I was able to get my project in on time, and I was able to get my computer fixed. But unfortunately, these problems are faced by many students in our districts, and we only have our computers available for 2 days a week. Also, students don't have access to the books and other resources we have. They can only check out books and be directed to the books that they need these 2 or 3 days a week that we have our media specialist. Also, I'm afraid for the future. I am a graduating senior, and I have been struggling with this issue for the past 2 years. I am afraid for the underclassmen who will, for the majority of their high school career, or the entirety of it, will not have the library be a reliable source of information. I have a cousin who will be attending Colts High School next year, and she will also suffer from this, having a media specialist only 2 or 3 days a week. I mean, how can they expect us to succeed in a technology-dominated world if we're not given the resources we need? Also, if you give us access to our computers, we'll use them, and obviously we will benefit. Thank you. Move on to my other contributors.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Temperman, and I am an alumni from Colts Neck. I graduated the spring of 2011. Starting my sophomore year, I began volunteering in the Colts Neck High School library during option 2, during lunch, before and after school. Whenever I could, I would come in and I would learn from the librarian there how to help out with the small things. And though she did teach me a lot over the course of the years that I spent there, it really wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to make an incredibly significant change, especially when in my senior year, this new policy of having the librarian alternate days came into effect. When she's not there, it puts a serious damper on things. Students come in and they're basically given a 50-50 chance that the librarian will be there and provide them with aid to find resources. And this, now that I've gone to college, I found is a very, very significant factor. A huge part of high school is preparing you for later in life, especially for the work that you'll have to put into college, and the papers that you'll have to write, the research that you'll have to do, and the sources that you'll have to gather. And a serious issue is that students now, for 2 years, and it's going to be continuing going on 3 or more, will spend most of their high school careers not receiving the help that they need when they go to the library, to the media center, and they won't be learning the skills that they will need to have later in life to do quality work, to find quality sources. And this is a serious impediment. Excuse me. As far as that goes, I was solely going to focus on the long-term effects. I'll leave it to the other speakers to deal with other issues that we have.
Hi, my name is Allie Beatty, and I graduated last year, and I'm attending TCJ right now. And I was a volunteer also for the Media Center. And unless you've worked in the Media Center, the amount of work is, you don't know how much work goes into it. It's really, truly tremendous. And it's a balancing act between maintaining and providing for the center and also teaching students. And the media specialist is really the heart of the Media Center. They run it, they make it welcoming for students, so they want to go in there. And they really are a person of reference and for research. They teach the students how to use the resources, and so they're ready for college. And they teach them how to use what the Media Center provides. I mean, to me, it's just a place of books and technology unless you have someone to teach you how to use them. And because the media specialist is only there for half the time, they can't effectively help their students and maintain the media center. And it's also not fair to the media center assistants like me and people on the teachers on duty, because they have to pick up the slack and they're not prepared for this. They don't have the training that the media specialist has, and really it's the students who are cheated. And I don't understand how you expect the media center or the students to be successful unless the media specialist is there all the time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just ultimately it's hurting the students, and I just don't think it's fair, and I'm fearful of what the future generations are going to be like if they don't get the media specialists all the time.
Hi, my name is Nicole Chin, and I am a sophomore at Colts Neck High School. I have volunteered at the library for the past 2 years, and I continue to do so. Students also lose the reliability of knowing that the library is open every day for school and for extracurricular purposes. When the media specialist is at Colts Neck, she provides so much assistance for our students' academic areas. The library at our high school is such an amazing resource that students are able to use as a second home to study and use the materials provided. But only being available Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every other Friday is an extreme disadvantage. The Freehold Regional High School District is home to the best libraries, but unfortunately, they are only available to our students 2 days out of the week. Volunteering at the Media Center is a great experience, but unfortunately, we are only able to enjoy it part of the week.
Hi, I'm Raza, and I'm a sophomore at Colts Neck High School. I also volunteer at the library, and basically, not only do students rely on the library for resources, but the teachers also do so. Students like myself are constantly sent to the library to complete work, but without the assistance of a media specialist, it's very difficult to do so. Classes continuously go to the media center to complete classwork, work on projects, do research papers, etc. However, it's extremely debilitating to both teachers and students that there's not the aid of a librarian to help them in their activities. Thank you.
Board members have a question?
Are you guys
Yes, we appreciate your time.
I have a question. First of all, I want to thank you for speaking up about your concerns. When I was in graduate school, while we didn't have a library, what was used far more frequently was our online library because it was available. Because it was available 24/7, so it wasn't just restricted to an hour after school, and therefore it was more active for people who had to maybe have to work after right after class. How do you guys feel about that option?
That would be useful. It would be nice to have resources outside of school. This is assuming that you have a way to
it's not for the students. Ms. Jewell, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I remember we talked about this last year. Is, concerning the First Lady's comments, is the library closed when the... Yes.
is open, but to a select group of like option 2 students. So if I as an ordinary student, I would not be able to get a lunch pass to the library or go in before homework or after school at Holtzneck on Mondays, Wednesdays, or every other Friday, but we do not have a media specialist. Only if I have a teacher with me, as in, but if a teacher was to take us to the library, in case she wanted us to do research, would we be able to go on one of these off days? And at that, we wouldn't have the expertise and guidance of our media specialists to help us in any research that we would have to make. But I do understand that these budget cuts are very important, but I do believe that this is something that we shouldn't be restricting. And that if we need to, that I'm sure the people of Holtzneck and all of the districts will be open to different sorts of cutting.
Thank you.
It's usually a different teacher for every period.
Mr. Simon?
First off, thank you for bringing the points, but these are not, so this decision was made a few years back in a very difficult budget time. I personally met with the media center specialist earlier when I first came to the board last year to listen to their concerns. We certainly look at this on an annual basis. What's gone is not forever gone necessarily, but it is an annual basis. And the decision, at that point in time was made to still try to provide as much access, recognizing that we weren't going to have necessarily that expert there at all times. It's something that when we go to build a budget, just like next year, we'll look at it, and Ms. Tomazic's suggestion is a terrific one. I would encourage all of you to share your suggestions with me. I can tell you I've heard it. The media center specialist gave me these suggestions as well. We listened to it. I met with the principals about it. This was not something that fell on deaf ears. This was not an issue that hasn't been looked at multiple times just in the past year that I've been here, and it's not an issue that won't be revisited again. But it is, on an annual basis, it was a difficult decision once upon a time, and then each budget season you have difficult decisions to make. I would never close the door, certainly, to saying it's not something that we would recommend. But I would put pen to paper and share your thoughts. Obviously, you're passionate about this and bring some terrific points to the table. And it's something that, as we go through next year and we start planning, we will certainly review that. So I I'll give you that. The door is not closed, but I don't want anyone here to think that this wasn't brought to me, it wasn't brought to the administration, it wasn't discussed at an administrative level when we made our budget recommendations for the school year, because it was. And you have to weigh certain things out. So we'll do that again next year. And I thank you for raising the point, for getting up there and speaking about what you're passionate about. There's points.
Thank you for your consideration.
I apologize for the Freudian slip.
We have
Mitchell Johnson?
Okay, next up we have
Leon. Oh, Mitchell Johnson, he wasn't up there. Sorry, Mitchell.
Hello, I'm a freshman at Finalist High School, and I would like to explore the possibility of implementing a cross program at the school. Now, I know with the budget cuts, at least the budget cuts, and everything that's been going on, it's probably been brought up to you before, and you probably think that it's not a big deal, it's very minor, and you have many more things to be worrying about. But I'd just like to make it known that it is not only the fastest growing sport in America, but as far as New Jersey goes, it's one of the most popular sports for high school athletes to be playing. As far as money goes, it may not be as expensive as you think, because all the students buy their own equipment. You may have to pay for 2 goals, some balls. Really every other sport, you have to pay for coaches and referees. Same thing. We already have a field, the football field would be perfect. And I have a few friends in my family who would be very willing to help out in any regard that would be necessary to get the program going. And that's what we like to see.
Thank you, Mitchell.
First of all, I certainly would like to compliment those students that just came up and made the case for the media center. They were terrific. It's a pleasure to see people come up here, especially students come up here concerned with curriculum items and be very outspoken about how they feel about it. The main reason I'm here today, believe me, I would rather be home watching the Devils, is the story that came out in one of the Patch newsletters several weeks ago about the state commission on, or the Board of Ethics ruling that regarding Mr. Bruno and Mr. Lawson and their participation in the committee hearings about Mr. Wasser's what we call the no-show job, and the settlement for was a reprimand. I have nothing personal against either one of these gentlemen, but it reflects something that we have been, the regulars that come down here over 5 years, that we have been talking about ever since the whole Briar State issue came up, and subsequent information came out about both gentlemen having wives working in the district, and that was the nepotism issue. And every time we brought it up, we were told in no uncertain terms by this board and by the attorneys that were representing the board at the time that it was not an issue because they were not voting on monetary issues regarding their wives. But as it turns out, it was an issue, as the Board of Ethics decided that they weren't supposed to vote on anything pertaining to Mr. Wasser because he was ultimately their supervisor. And the purpose of my comments is not the issue that these gentlemen were being, as part of the settlement, they're getting a reprimand. you can answer afterwards, what is a reprimand to board members who don't get paid and they're elected officials? What could that possibly mean? No television for 2 weeks? I don't know what it is. But the real issue is concerning the recommendations that the board was working under by the law firm that was representing the board. It's just one more niche on the belt of bad advice or incorrect advice, which goes back to the original Briar State issue, the no-show job that this reprimand was involved in, the NJ.com issue, and now it's this. What concerns us is, as much as Mr. Sampson, you'd like to say that you're trying to rid this board of all the connections to the Briar State affair, somehow it still comes up. And now these lawyers are representing the board in the case against Mr. Simon. And we just don't understand why they keep showing up here. They're costing this district a lot of money in legal fees. I don't know how much it's going to end up costing in terms of what it was, if there was any defense of Mr. Lawson and Mr. Bruno in this case. And it just raises too many questions in terms of why this firm is still being employed in various issues by this board. And we have a new law firm that seems to be very competent, and I don't know why they couldn't have handled the case. And the other thing that comes to mind is, for your purposes, you better hope that you win the case with Mr. Simon, because if he wins this case, there's got to be the devil to pay in legal fees and lawsuits and everything else. The remnants and the residue of the Briar State affair just doesn't seem to go away.
Thank you, Leon. Leon, not as a board president, but just as a member of the board who was here during those days, Mr. Lawson and Mr. Bruno, I want to correct something you said. They didn't participate. They were present. And even that, I'm not sure they were present, because nobody's really sure if they were present at that meeting or not. So I want to say that they never voted on anything. On anything. They might have been in the room. But they didn't participate. They didn't vote. And all I can give you is my word on that. And the other thing, no, I didn't interrupt you when you spoke. The other thing I wanted to tell you was, I don't know if the Briar State incident will ever go away, because some people here don't ever want it to go away. They don't ever want it to go away. And everything that happens, if it's an innocent mistake, or somebody should have left the meeting and was in the process of leaving, or didn't hear that they should have left, it always goes back to like a hidden motive. Something is sinister. Something is underneath. And I take offense to that, because I've never seen any part of that as long as this new administration has been here.
As I said, I only brought it up because it was a news story in the paper, and it related to the former superintendent.
Well, there's a lot of news stories in papers that just because it's in print doesn't mean it's true.
But this is a ruling from the Ethics Commission.
Yeah,
they didn't make this up.
No, I know they didn't make it up. I know they didn't make it up. But all it said was that they were present. And to this day, we still can't prove whether they were or they weren't. But if we were going to take it and fight it, it would have cost us so much money, it would have been ridiculous. So we took what was the least of the charges. But to this day, I'm not sure we should, if it wasn't for money, I'm not sure that those charges are true. And I'm just telling you, at that time, I was not president of the board, I was a board member, I was at every one of those meetings.
Isn't there a minutes record?
Yeah, but people were going in and out, because every time a certain subject came up, they were told they had to leave, and they were told to come back, and they were told to leave. But I'm just saying that no one, Mr. Lawson or Mr. Bruno, neither one of them ever voted on anything. That I can assure you. But that's just my word. Mr. Nelson.
Leon, to add whatever clarity I can, when this entire thing was presented to Mr. Brewer and myself, the choice was to go through all of the rigmarole to contest the charges. Interrogatories, fact-finding, legal expenses, as you said, beyond belief for something that we know we could have fought, but it wasn't worth it, which is why we agreed to, a minimum penalty. What is a reprimand? We're going to be paid less next year than we are this year. But it was simply a matter of the easiest, least expensive, least burdensome way to resolve it. And that's what we said. Although both things were being equal.
Why would the ethics board, why did it even reach the ethics board?
Can I answer that? Because I don't know if anyone else here knows why. Because someone who was in the room at the time leaked executive session.
I would assume that's the only way. I know there's no bugs in the room. All right.
First of all, I'd like to say I know you have a very good drug program in place. I'm very happy about that. And we've been reading about situations in Manalapan and other schools, so the programs are in place. However, yesterday, those of you who get the New York Times, there was a whole expose about the risky rise of the good grade pill. And this referred to stimulants not for a high, but for getting a higher SAT score. This is going on throughout the country. This is not, I'm not pinpointing the Freehold Regional High School District, but the person who wrote this and the people he interviewed, they went to the finest high school in Ameri in Pennsylvania, the Upper East Side, all the private schools, and the public schools. And Dr. Hazel is familiar with Adderall. That's a drug for attention deficit disorder. It's used to calm kids down, to help them to focus. Now, what a lot of high school kids are doing now, this has to do with the pressure. Unfortunately, the culture of pressure with testing, the pressure to get into the Ivy League schools, the pressure to be ranked #1, we know what this is all about. But the point in this whole article is that these kids are going to physicians. They're pretty smart. They're saying, I can't focus. I don't know what's wrong with me. I cannot focus. I can't concentrate. I'm daydreaming. I'm looking out the window. And the doctor is giving them 30 prescription pills, Ritalin, Adderall. And this is happening throughout the country. So I just wanted to point this out. I don't want to go through the whole article because the Times columns are very lengthy, pages and pages. They did a whole expose of Horace Mann and the pedophilia that went on there in a lot of these private schools. So what I'm trying to say is we cannot shove this under the rug. Kids are coming to school with prescription drugs. They're telling the teachers, I will have to go to the bathroom. They're taking the drug, drinking the water, and they're able to focus. It's helping them through the tests. There was a law student, a person who was in law school, was saying that he did it. He was selling these drugs. And in law school, he's still taking these stimulants. So all I'm saying is that it's not just the little things we're reading about. Now this kid was busted, that kid was busted. I think there has to be more of an awareness, and maybe added to what you're doing as far as educating the kids, cover the whole issue of prescription drugs. Because if it's happening in so many schools, it's got to be happening here somehow. The kids who got up to speak seem so solid and so good, and I'm proud of them that they were able to assert themselves the way they did. But I'm going to leave this if anybody wants to look at it and read. I think it's important. I think all teachers, people on the board, administrators should read this, because this is the reality of what's going on. The competition, the pressure, the stress. Kids are involved in, they're doing an activity, sports, and academics, and involved in so many things that the pressure is getting to them. Then they're depressed. Many of them are depressed. And some of these drugs are causing depression. And many of them are ending up going from these stimulants to OxyContin and other drugs. And they are snorting Adderall. I couldn't believe the things that I was reading. So I think we should take this very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Jerry.
Just a quick note. At the next board meeting, Dr. Hazel will be presenting the second part of the balance of the presentation, which will talk about a lot of the programs that we do have in place. I think that, if you recall from my November presentation, not bearing our heads in the sand at all. We're like any other high schools across America. There's some controls in the president. Speak to that. Next week, come over and some programs we have. Jerry.
My name is Jerry Tomaselli from Marlboro, New Jersey. I'd like to thank the board for giving me this minute. I'm here to represent a little web development company called Your Town Delivered, and I'd like just to pass the front of the website out so you could have some idea of what it entails. Unlike everything else that's spoken tonight, our policy is no politics, no news, and no opinions. We develop town sites not for the towns, but for the people in the towns, to showcase the businesses and services available in those towns. We also have a community page which lists the schools, churches, sports, charitable organizations, and other fundraising, any 301c charity that is looking to raise funds. We showcase their events. Any event that's listed in the town, we listed on is available to the events in the town. The reason I'm here tonight is we have a deal section of which we'd like to give the winning high school $1,000 in cash, and for participating in the high school, each participating high school, we'd like to give them a $100 certificate to Abate Bakery for any function that they might have. What we have on the deal section is a school spirit competition. Yes.
I apologize.
Public portion is the advertisement portion. It's a time for members of the public to bring up issues that are concerned. The school district,
Okay, I'm not advertising. Well, I'm trying to find out. I've made some phone calls, and I don't know which direction to go. I'd like to get in contact with somebody who would be able to make a decision on how I would be able to proceed.
Forward your request via email to Mikkel Williams. Her email will be available on the website with Mikkel Williams.
I'm sorry?
Sitting right there, that's...
Oh, young lady. Okay. Very good. Thank you for your time.
GL.
Thank you, Mr. Moses, for allowing me to speak. I apologize for coming in late. I came from another meeting. First of all, I would like to be here to congratulate those students who received the award and also those who tried very hard. Mr. Moses, I just want to make a statement in reference to what Mr. Sironic just mentioned before. The whole district would love to move forward from this Briar State debacle. You all know that. Unfortunately, this article that came out recently, where the Commissioner of Education, Mr. Cerf, made mention of, everybody knows what the article is all about. We did not want to bring this up. I thought that was an article. Even I myself was surprised, like the whole Briar State was again resurrected. So yeah, we would like to finish the business now and be able to close it in and move forward. But if articles like that comes out in the future, you know damn well it will be discussed again. In the very beginning of the Briar State, I spoke several times about the nepotism policy, but always was taken down. I stated at the time, we know the problem with the nepotism. And at that time, I wanted the board to revisit the nepotism policy where as you will just shorten it into 2 sentences. That if you want to be a member of the board, no members of your family can be employed in the district. And if any members of your family want to be employed, then, wait, if you want to sit in the board, no members of your family can be employed, and vice versa. That should be the only 2 important sentences in that nepotism policy, and these problems will be stopped right there and then. And we all know, I don't want to touch base in the past. This is one of the reasons why we have all that mess. The substance abuse, Manalapan High School has been in the paper because of all the drugs, the dealing, the using. I know it's not only in Manalapan High School, but not only in the other schools of the Freehold Regional, but in a lot of schools. And at one point, Mr. Sampson, you gave a presentation about the substance abuse. And again, a meeting after that, I asked you, what are really actions that were taken by the administration nor the board about this use of substance and other, like vandalism and everything else? But I was not responded at the time. So I hope that, you really have something in place to address the problem. And lastly, the strategic committee, which I believe is very broad, very important committee. I'm wondering why up to now, I believe Mr. Jefferson came to speak once, and now the children, by the way, who spoke here about their media center, they were phenomenal. I mean, really, you can congratulate these children when they come here and speak that well. But then again, Ms. Tomasic mentioned about that is being discussed in the strategic committee. I feel that, as Mr. Sampson said in the beginning, that committee is so broad, so important because it involves and it encompasses everything, a lot more in terms of the operation of the district. But I'm wondering then, how come Mr. Moore only made a presentation, I believe 1 or 2 since the inception of that committee? It seems that so many things are happening now. It would be nice that, Mr. Moore can come here, update not only the board but also the public, so that we know exactly what is happening in that committee. But so far, it's been so quiet. Thank you.
Just answer a couple of questions. I did respond to it. I just said a couple minutes ago that at next board meeting, we will have a presentation in the structure, as I said in November, that the first component of violence and vandalism in the Renewal approach to the school district would be to talk about the specific data and state requirements, and then the second component of that, which will be report out in June, would be about all of the programs that we have in place. I just mentioned 5 minutes ago that Dr. Hazel will spearhead that at the June 25th meeting. Mr. Moore, who's updated the public and who has quite frankly worked his tail off on the strategic plan, will again be here on June 25th. That plan's almost complete. If you go to the website and just take a look for a few minutes and dive into it, it's been very public. There have been dozens and dozens of meetings related to it where it's been open to the community, and that action is unfolded over the course of the year. So it's I don't have him necessarily reporting out at every board meeting because ultimately Mr. Moore reports to me, and it's my job to make sure that the strategic plan gets done. And as I've said all year long, we're on target to complete that prior to the end of June, and we're on course.
The other thing, Gloria, Mark, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the state has laws about who can run for the board and who can't. And
yeah, I just was about to say, by statute, the state sets qualifications for who can be a board member. The board can't set a higher standard than the state of New Jersey sets by statute. The only other thing that I would just add to that is the ethics case that you're referencing this wasn't something new. This was something that was evidently filed several years ago and was just now resolved. So just to answer your question, this wasn't something that was re-brought up by the state. It was something that was brought up back when all of this happened and has been now resolved. So hopefully that'll be one of the last outstanding issues out there surrounding the prior state issue. I don't know if you can hear what Mr. Sampson was looking at earlier on the OFAC investigation, which confirmed no findings of violation of Title 6A or 18A. So it is this administration and this court's hope to, in fact, move forward. So I just wanted to just clarify that this wasn't something that the School Ethics Commission just now saw. This was something that was filed contemporaneously with everything that occurred at that time. One of the requirements that was put into that act was that all districts adopt a uniform nepotism policy. The Freehold Regional District has that nepotism policy. It is set by code by the Commissioner of Education, and every single school district has to follow that specific policy. And it addresses, without question, if you can be present in the room, if you have a family member that is part of the bargaining unit. It says very clearly if you have a family member that is part of a bargaining unit in another state, another school district in the state. So I can't answer specifically about what was in place that the district had at that time. I can tell you that since March of 2008, and regs actually came into effect the following summer, July of 2009, that the district has had the same policy as every single school district in the state of New Jersey, and it is one that is set by the state itself. And the board at any time can reopen and look at its own policy.
Well, we did. Policies new since the firing.
We can't change what the state has said. Okay, that takes care of the public participation. We're going to, if there's no objection, I'd like to ask for a motion that we take the entire agenda in one shot. Okay. I'd like to remind the board that we have an addendum, which I believe is K8. Okay. this doesn't, Mr. Board, supersede.
First was Bill, the second was Dan.
Discussion. Yeah.
Just a question on the lease purchase. Relative to what we just information that we got, I pretty much percent of the philosophy of the lease purchase is asked to number one, what's going to happen to
the cycle on the laptops, so we're at a bit of a crossroads this year. So as we move forward with some iPad training for the select number of staff, we want to grow that next year and increase that number. The laptops that we presently have, those that can be repurposed, ultimately will be. And since the question was raised as we embark on our strategic plan, we need to sort of knock down the walls in terms of technological use. What happens if these laptops are become obsolete? What do we do with them? The truth of the matter is that after 3 years, it's actually more expensive to maintain them than it is even to purchase them, which is how we got to that point. However, what we've talked about is reconditioning those that we're able to, repurposing those that we're able to, and then moving those into pool labs, keeping them as a bank for students in particular need that maybe can't access or have access to these things of that nature, and begin to utilize those as much as possible throughout the buildings. Of that number, I don't know off the top of my head how many are eligible for that, but that's certainly the intent.
Thank you. Any other stuff?
My understanding of the regulations is about that prohibits that. So we can advertise
If it works so chose, yes.
Any other?
Can you speak about the Sectional Education Services Commission and what that's all about? Or is it similar to there are principals in the cooperative, and we're a member of that cooperative. We get this service at generally $500 work for us. The person that they partner with there is from the Actors Creed, who I had worked with years ago for a number of years, and has a particularly good track record of accessing that marketplace. So he knows all the players, he knows how to get the deals from the interest rate that we got because of that. Whether or not, I'm sure there are other outfits that can do it, but I can tell you the pricing that we paid, $500, is considerably less than what I had paid years ago.
Any other discussion? I second that. There's also a song. Okay, seeing no other comments or discussions, can we have a motion to roll call?
Mr. Masatola? Here. Yes. Mr. Bruno?
Yes to everything, without violating the ethics, rules, and regs. I will be present but taking no action on my younger brother who's retired on February 1st.
Mrs. Canario?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson? Yes. Mr. Messenger?
Yes.
Mrs. Kutera?
Yes.
Mr. Mazin?
Yes.
Mr. Moses? Yes.
Old business? Any new business?
Yes. Thank you. I have a question. Two members of the public spoke about an article. There was another one there that had me concerned. So I was hoping the administration could address the issue and what steps have been taken since. But there was an article about the bus driver employed by this district that got in an accident. And the article went back and looked at previous traffic violations. And I'd just like to explain this to what's been done so this doesn't happen in the future.
Sure. First and foremost, it's my understanding that the previous practice of transportation is that the driver is employed by the regional high school district and they're involved in an accident. And certainly the circumstances of those events are investigated. And if the driver had been issued a moving violation in the past, that oftentimes they would be suspended for a period of time. But if the county still continued to approve them as a driver, then they were maintained as a driver. So over the course of years, what we found as a result of the initial accident in the township that sparked this, and certainly that report has been our press, was that we had several drivers that in the past had been issued a moving violation and were continued to be employed in the school district. I'll say, I'll go on record and say publicly that I did not agree with that decision making, and I met with Mr. Boyce and Ms. Resnick, the transportation director, as a result of this. They've issued a number of very specific changes. So first and foremost, I was quite clear and said that if any employee in our school district is issued a moving violation while operating one of our vehicles, they're issued the moving violation. They're to be terminated immediately, period. No questions asked, no suspension, terminated. I also requested, apparently the process in the past was to store all personnel files in transportation only. That is also an unacceptable practice to me. So I mandated that human resources will begin the migration of core components of all personnel files of any transportation employee moving forward. And at every time there was an accident, that we are changing the recording mechanism for that accident. Human resources is to review the scope of that accident and report to me directly, to the superintendent directly on the manner of the accident, the driver's history, and any other information that needs to be ascertained at that point in time. We also, up until Ms. Resnick's arrival as transportation director, no one ever apparently ran the driver abstracts of our drivers. Mrs. Resnick does that on an annual basis. I mandated that she does that on a monthly basis and review all issues. So what ends up happening when the individual is issued a moving violation, oftentimes those violations are let down and you may not know the actual outcome. The only way you know what actually happened is through a review of that motor vehicle abstract. So that will now be done on a monthly basis. I also mandated that Mr. Boyce put together a specific timeline of activities which he's complied with and is overseeing the implementation of these actions through the summer of 2012. That was the response to those findings.
And before we close the meeting, I have one other new business. Using an old coaching technique where we take the negatives and we end with a positive. Since we had some negative news about the district, I'd like to congratulate Marlboro High School and Freehold Borough High School for being rated as one of the top high schools in New Jersey. And Freehold Township and New Jersey, and also I think in the country. They were rated in the top 10%. So we'd like to acknowledge not only the work of the administrators in the schools, but also the great work of the teachers.
As you don't leave me out. I have
Carl, you always have something. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, here we go. This microphone should work better. 2 weeks ago, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I was at Marlboro High School. I was asked by a student there to make a presentation to the business class, and I just want to thank Mr. Boylan personally. I walked through that school, and at first, Kurt in the back told me that my car wouldn't be towed away and I could park where I wanted to park, and it was pouring rain. And I have to tell you that you were kind, gracious, and receptive, not only to me, but every student that you passed in the hallway. And I think that that's the way to get by in life, Mr. Boylan. And I learned a lot from you that day, and I truly appreciate your kindness, your receptiveness to me that day. It was such a wonderful experience. And I would only hope that other board members would have the opportunity to see what goes on the site. I remember as a young kid, I used to work in projects, and I would be in charge of monitor all the drug investigations in New York City Housing Authority. And I would always go out there and walk the projects to see what was going on. And so to speak, I did that at Marlboro High School, and it couldn't have been a better experience. Thank you so much for allowing me to be there that day. Thank you.
Okay, and don't forget, we're in executive session right after this.
Second.
For the purpose of discussing negotiations, bargaining units, and individual control.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce, for making sure that no one thought it was.
The board will not be returning to public election action.
No one thinks anything sinister is going on.
Anyone? We have a vote for the meeting. Second?
Second.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you for coming.